Hello, my name is Greg Green. I'm founder of Flip Schools. And today what I'd like to do is take you through the flipped classroom and school approach. I've had the good fortune of being able to write a couple national articles on CNN about the flipped classroom and how I feel it gives every student a chance to be successful. Today what I'd like to do is talk to you about the flipped classroom and kind of dispel any misconceptions that you may have regarding it. The flipped classroom is just simply students reviewing classroom information before class and then when students do activities and homework in class. In today's school, what we traditionally do is we traditionally review classroom information in school, and then we have students process or practice the information or skill outside of school. Well, we have to ask ourselves this question: what are we asking students to do homework? Sometimes we ask them to do homework in environments that aren't suitable or can't support their learning process or their practice. When I had a chance as principal for the last 10 years to interview our students, we found that there were numerous factors and really an elephant in the room that we need to really talk about. That elephant being that oftentimes when students go home to practice their skill or do their homework, they're not in environments that allow them to do that and be successful at it. And so in some environments, such as in some affluent areas, they're able to replicate and actually able to support their student in the learning process, but oftentimes in an at-risk neighborhood they cannot. And so what we found is there are 5 factors that influence student learning. We found that safety. If you don't have a safe home to learn in, homework really isn't a reasonable request. Sometimes they don't have technology, and a lot of our expectations that students have technology in the classroom, or at home, such as a graphing calculator and so forth. Parent support. Sometimes they don't have a parent who supports them at home, or can't support them, or lacks the educational background to support them. Also the community. Sometimes the community doesn't support education, rather discourages it. And also there's no available experts in their neighborhood, or they maybe live alone with a parent and they really don't have anybody to ask a question with certain expertise. Well, in a flipped classroom environment, what we do is we reverse that process. And so the passive activities now are done at home. So a student who, let's say they're listening to a lecture, may take some few notes on it, audio file. They may take notes on a reading assignment, PowerPoint notes. They may take some side notes and just some questions to ask their teachers the next day. But during class is where they actually practice it, so that they can ask a question or they can work with an expert and help process the information so they have a clear understanding moving forward. This allows us to really provide equality in our educational platform. So it isn't always affluence that stops learning. Whether someone has money or not doesn't stop learning. Sometimes it's just that parents aren't prepared, or parents aren't within the day-to-day process. So it becomes very difficult to help your student if you're not right there. So this allows the expert who is delivering the instruction, who has the expectations, who's grading the student, actually working with the student day to day, so that they can give them feedback and direction on if they're on target or off target, and then they're the ones who are helping and work and practice with the student. Now, I get a lot of questions on how do you share information, and it's not always about video. Video gets a lot of attention in a flipped classroom environment. However, we see a lot of value in video, but it's not the only way you can share information. Here are some examples. You can share audio file, which is just simply creating a simple recording of your voice and reviewing information that way. You can do it just by sharing notes back and forth, like PowerPoint notes or notes to review, and also a short reading assignment. Remember, it should be something that students are reviewing rather than processing, because the processing needs to happen with the expert directly in the room. Now, some questions that we get oftentimes in our flipped Flip School is that if they're not going to do homework, because a lot of times that's an issue in class, then how are they going to watch video? Well, one of the things that we found is that just asking students to watch video is not good enough. You have to make it an important part and relevant and important to be part of your daily routine. So the more important you put on it, the more important your students will put on it. Simple as that. If you have a class that's really extremely difficult and isn't partaking in watching video, then what we've done is we've actually showed video the first 5 minutes of class and proceed with the class activity. Remember, when you're creating videos, and we'll get into this later, when we create videos, the video should be in 5 minutes to 7 minutes in length. So it shouldn't take the whole hour because they can repeat the information over and over and over. So you don't have to give multiple examples. And you also, general rule is that you want to dominate 20% of the classroom discussion, and your students should dominate the other 80% of the classroom activity and discussion. They should be doing the work. As a teacher, you should be active in the learning environment. You shouldn't be sitting at your desk just, making your grocery list. What you need to be is you need to be engaged with your students by walking around, assisting them, talking to them to ensure that they are on task, to have the support they need to be successful. This is a very active learning environment. Yes, your students will have homework. Many times questions arise, students actually have homework. Where's their responsibility in this? They do. As a teacher, you will share with your students the next day's assignment to review. You can share that on a blog, a website, a Blackboard, Moodle account, however, EduBlog, Edumodo, however you feel like you need to be able to share that, and you can share that way, or you can hand them the notes for the next day, for them to review. It's however you would like to share that with your students. But your student's assignment is to review it. And then as a teacher, you can see if your students have watched or listened or reviewed information by collecting or grading notes or through a quiz. This places responsibility and importance on it. Just simply as that. And when doing homework, it should be a review of information and not processing it, because we want that processing done with the expert themselves. What in case a student doesn't have the internet? We get that question all the time. A lot of schools kind of come up with a solution themselves. You can put them on DVD or a thumb drive and give it to a student. You can ask students if they can ask your school, if students can use the media centers, labs, classroom, computers, cell phones in school, to help with that process. And then also, have students check with a neighbor, relative, classmate. They can go to a public local library or a public place such as a coffee house and so forth. They don't have internet, but they have a device that can get them on the internet. Most importantly, there's ways to work around that. You have to think through that part a little bit. But this kind of gives you a basic overview of the flipped classroom and also a flipped school. We're going to do more videos to help explain certain, in particular areas like creating video and so forth that can help you flip your class. This is Greg Green from Flip Schools, and I hope this helped. Thank you.